So you want to start a manga collection, but you don't know how or where to start. It might be a bit daunting since it's a hobby that you might not be too familiar with if you only read digitally. However, today I'm just going to explain how I got into the hobby and some tips and tricks to getting into manga collecting, mainly physically. Let's not waste any time, let's just get straight into the first tip I got for you guys, and that is the different types of manga there is to collect. So there's a couple of different ones, right? You've got your regular singles like this. This is just a single volume. They're pretty cheap usually. After that, you have your omnibuses like this, which usually they're 2-in-1s or 3-in-1s. Now these are obviously bit cheaper long term if you're collecting a long series to collect. Singles, sometimes a series may be like 30-40 volumes and maybe you don't have the space for it, or you don't want to pay that much per single volume. Omnibuses kind of reduce the price a little bit if you look long term, so they are a great option if you want to go for that. I know series like One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, Naruto, Bleach, they all have 3-in-1s, which are really good if you want to collect it that way, because obviously we know like something like One Piece, I only have the first 23 volumes, but it's like over 100 volumes, right? Like, not everybody has the space for that. You also have like your deluxe editions, which would be something like, here we go, Soul Eater. It's not called deluxe edition, it's called Perfect Edition. However, it is basically a deluxe edition. So it's like an omnibus, you get 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 volumes. However, most of the time they'll be probably hardcover, better page quality, and they always just look nicer. Like, I do like the Soul Eater singles, I have seen them. However, like something like this, the Perfect Edition, they just look so clean, and everybody loves like the good old hardcover. They look great on your shelf and they feel really premium as well. So that's another option. They're usually a bit more on the pricey side, however you're paying for that premium quality and the sexy look, I guess you could say. Last but not least, we have the box sets. Now, box sets are, not every series has them. Like long series like One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, they have their box sets. One Piece has 4 box sets, Bleach has 3, Naruto has 3 as well, I think. And they're a good way to, like, let's say you already know Naruto, you've read all of the manga, or you've watched all of the anime, and you just want to collect the manga, but you don't want to just be the guy who buys it, single volume, or you can just buy the box sets. Now, they are expensive, but they do end up being a little bit cheaper than buying them all, one by one. So it's a good way to own them. And I have the first one. I don't know if the video is even like picking it up. Maybe not. But I have the first box set of One Piece, which gave me the first 23 volumes. The box sets also just look cool to display. And sometimes you do get like an extra thing inside of it. Like sometimes you'll get like an artwork, map. Some of them even include like special like stories. Like, I know the Chainsaw Man box set gives buddy stories, which is like a mini light novel about Power and Denji. So like, box sets are a great option if you want to collect long running series. Now, one last thing, there's also Japanese singles. I didn't really want to mention this, but they are a thing. Some people like collecting Japanese singles, mainly because either the series will not be available in English yet, like Uma Musume, or they just like the look of the Japanese singles. Some of them even have different cover arts, but most of the time they're the same. And also, in very rare cases, such as like Vagabond, for example, they didn't get to include the latest few chapters before it went on hiatus in the deluxe editions or the Visbig editions. So some people went and grabbed the Japanese volumes that had those last few volumes. Last few chapters. So that's another option as well to consider. Alright, my next tip for you guys is space. Consider how long a series is and how much space you have, because sometimes you might start collecting a series and you just did not realize how long that is. For example, One Piece. I started collecting One Piece. I know how long it is, and I know it's going to take up a good chunk of my shelf space. I'll worry about that later, but it is a thing to consider when you get into this hobby, because a lot of series can be very long, especially like the big 3 or just other series in general. They can be very long and they can take up a lot of shelf space, while also just costing you a lot in the long run, right? Like something like, for example, like JoJo's. It has a lot of volumes, so if I want to collect JoJo's, it's still ongoing as well. That's the thing. It's going to take up a lot of space, but Soul Eater is finished. It's 18 volumes. I know that. Well, 18 perfect editions. I know that's 18 volumes and I can plan for that in my collection. But it's just something to keep in mind, right? Do you have the space for some of the series you want to collect? And how much space do you just even have in general to start a collection? Now, me, I'm cutting it close. I have barely any space in this room, and I somehow fit this one shelf, and there is absolutely no way I can fit another shelf in this room. But I do have plans. I know I can get extra shelves like these IKEA ones. You can fit extra shelves in here. You can also double stack manga like here and then here. So there are ways around it, definitely. So just do your research, check how much space you have and the series you want to collect and how long it is. The third tip is out of print / hard to collect manga. So there's a lot of manga out there that you might want to collect that are actually just out of print. So that basically means they don't really make them anymore in English, and finding them becomes such a problem. And there are a couple of manga out there. One that I know off the top of my head is Shaman King, the original singles. I think they're out of print, so if you want to get them, they're super hard to find or just really expensive. That's one thing to consider. Is the series you're collecting out of print? If so, how much are you willing to spend on it to get it? Is it worth it? Just keep that in mind. And another thing is, like, some series I know are like hard to collect as well. Maiden Abyss, specifically volume 3 and volume 8. Actually it's volume 3 and volume 5, I think. I just can't find them anywhere. They're just out of stock everywhere. I don't know why. I don't know when they're coming. It's one thing I didn't really think about when getting into that series, and now I'm kind of just stuck with volume 1 and 2. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll keep looking, but that's one thing to consider. Some series are really hard to collect or just find, or they're very expensive. Definitely think about these things when you're getting into a new series to collect. And the last tip I have for you guys is a very simple one. I've talked about this in my other videos and something I'm still trying to come to terms with, but collect series that you truly value, that you truly love. Don't fall into this hype train. Don't fall into this trend chasing habit of, I need to have this series because everybody says it's a great series. Collect series that you like, you yourself. Yes, you. Alright, if you see someone collecting Berserk, and everyone has Berserk in their collections from what I've seen, I know it's pretty good. I personally haven't read it, but I'm not going to go and buy, 3 deluxe editions of Berserk because, well, I haven't had that personal, hook to get me into that series, right? And they're not cheap. I just really believe you shouldn't fall into a hype train of just collecting every series you see because everybody says, yes, get this. This is really good. Truly just find things that you really enjoy. Like, I really enjoy One Piece. I had to have it. I really enjoy Call of the Night. That's why I have it here. And that's true for most of my series here. Most. I still made that mistake, and it happens, right? We still do fall into that trap. We're human. But it's just important to remember, like, these series that you're collecting, would you pick them up again and just read them later down the line? Would you reread them? Do you truly care about that series, right? Do you think about it a lot? Do you want it on your shelf? Do you want people to see that, hey, this person has Call of the Night on their shelf, which means they must really like this series if they own it physically, right? Like, just think about these things, right? This hobby is not really cheap like most hobbies. Like, yeah, 1-2 volumes, it's like $20, $30, but like now, like, my collection is worth over $1,000, right? Like, it just adds up really quickly. So the last thing you want to do is have wasted hundreds of dollars on a series you just don't really care about, right? That's basically it for this video. I don't have any more tips to share. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe because we are very close to 100 subscribers. I know we're going to hit it by the end of the year. And I am also trying content like this, right? Not just manga hauls, but stuff like this where I give some tips to you guys, and maybe I'll experiment with more video ideas in the future. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.